Hey class, Molly Wallen here. For this week's discussion board 5 final PowerPoint presentation, I will be discussing foreflight and how when foreflight is combined with our G1000 aircraft, it makes the aviation industry a much simpler and a much safer place. So I hope you guys enjoy and I hope you find this presentation helpful. So for those of you who do not know what foreflight is an app that has been made available to both general aviation and professional pilots alike. It takes every aspect of your flight and it syncs it right to your device. So some key features that it includes are maps, charts, airport information, weather. You can even download and save documents right to your foreflight, as well as being able to use your logbook information. Another very helpful tool is the search bar, which allows you to pull up an airport or even a route and instantly go right there. I listed the key topics on the right-hand side of which we will be discussing to make your flight that much easier and that much safer. All right, now that you know what foreflight is, let's go ahead and discuss how you can use it for flight planning purposes. So at the bottom of your foreflight screen, go ahead and hit the Maps button. It's going to take you to the general map. You can hit VFR or IFR depending on the type of flight you plan on doing. Then you put in your departure airport and your destination. It's going to start off as just a straight shot. You can look at that information and see if you're going to run into any special airspace you shouldn't be, or any Bravo or Charlie that you maybe shouldn't be going through. You can look at that and make sure that you're not going to hit any terrain or anything, and then you can alter your flight plan from there. So then at the top hand section, you put in your airplane information that gives you your performance. So it's going to allow you to make sure that you're going to have enough fuel, or if you need to make any fuel stops, if you're going to be able to do the takeoffs and landings within the airports provided, anything like that. Then you select your altitude, and from there it's going to let you know different route options that you can take, which is very helpful based on previous flights that other airplanes have done. So from all of that, then you put in your planned departure time, you pack it up, and then you send it over to your flights, which then allows you to get the weather briefing and then go ahead and file that flight. All right, so there are a couple different ways that you can gather weather via foreflight. So first of all, the very first and easiest option, on the main page, if you select the airports button, it's going to take you to the most recent airport you looked up. However, you can type in your departure airport, your arrival, or even airports all along your planned route of flight. So once you hit the airport button, there is a weather button, and that's going to give you such information as your METAR, your TAF, your MOS, as well as your winds. So that's just going to give you a general idea. The next option at the bottom hand screen is the Maps button. Once you select the Maps button, go to the top left-hand corner is the little Layers button, and that's going to give you information such as your temperature, your dew point, your sky coverage, visibility. It's going to give you a general synopsis of, is this going to be a go or a no-go sort of flight. And then finally, there is the imagery button down at the bottom. Selecting that, you can kind of get your chart information, such as your prog charts, your outlook information, as well as your graphical forecast. So that's a couple different ways that you can get your weather for your planned flight. All right, so now that you have created your flight plan, once you pack it and send it over to your flights, you can obtain your weather briefing. So down at the bottom corner, if you hit the flights button and then select the flight that you have just created, you're able to, in the top center, there is a button that says briefing. This is where you can go and get your standard briefing, which you would obtain otherwise from a weather briefer. So selecting that, it's going to give you all the exact same basic information. It's going to give you your METAR, your TAF, your synopsis, your NOTAM information, AirMet, SIGMETs, anything that you would want to know. It's going to give you that information as either raw or translated. Now that you've officially received your proper weather briefing, you can go ahead and proceed to file your flight plan. So go back to the main flights page section that you were on. At the bottom right-hand side of the screen, it's going to say Proceed to File. Selecting that, it's going to give you final chance to verify all of your information, and then you just select the File button. So once you've hit the File button, it's going to give you three options. It's going to say Amend, it's going to say Activate, or it's going to say Cancel. So now that you've got everything good to go, you're in your airplane, you've just taken off, you can actually use your foreflight to activate the flight plan. So hitting the activate, that's gonna turn your flight plan on essentially. So once you are good to go, or you decide you don't want to finish the flight, or you just want to be done with it, you just go ahead and select the close flight button and you officially closed your flight plan. According to ForeFlight's website, ForeFlight provides access to a full library of always current VFR, IFR, and data-driven map layers projected onto a 3D representation of the world. Essentially, this allows you to pull up a chart or a map of any city anywhere. You're also able to custom create your own waypoint. For cross-country planning purposes, you are able to create this waypoint and then you can visually plan where you want to go and use it as a point along your route. You're also able to custom create waypoints to view them on your map. If you're originally used to using Jepson charts, you're also able to transfer those over to ForeFlight with a ForeFlight subscription. A new and exciting feature for ForeFlight is the fact that ForeFlight and Garmin have come together to create a new and better flight plan using Garmin avionics. You can now gather ADS-B weather and traffic information right to your ForeFlight. I've actually personally done the traffic information, and it's very helpful. It shows you directly where you are on the map, and then it shows you in proximity to other traffic, and it gives you where their tail number as well as their altitude. So that's huge for traffic avoidance. Another new and exciting feature is the two-way flight planning. You create your flight plan right on your ForeFlight, and then once you get to the plane, you can transfer that right over to the Garmin panel. All right, let's say you're flying along and you've decided that you're now going to change and go land at a different airport. You realize that you don't have any information on the FBO because you've never flown there before. If you go to the airports button on your ForeFlight, on the top right-hand corner, there is an FBO. If you select that, it's going to give you any information on the FBOs at the airport. You can get maintenance information, car rentals, and everything like that. Going back to the main screen of the airports, there's an info button. You can also get information on the hours and times of the airport. You can get car rental information, any nearby restaurants, and just contact information if you wanted to call and ask anybody anything. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope you found this presentation helpful, and I hope that you learned a little bit more information on ForeFlight to use on your next flight. Thanks.